the city. It's time, ain't no turning back. Rewind, it's all or nothing, put it all on the line. I see it, I want it, I take it, it's mine. It's a Super Bowl. Who you got, who you rooting for? You with them or with us, yeah, we toe to toe. Look and see them, they shook, man, they losing hope. Sin City, but I got with me, yeah, the pressure on, still calm in me. All the blood, sweat, tears hard on me, but the highs and lows making harmony. Hold up, whoa, y'all are not hearing me, whoa. It ain't no fear in me, I hear them cheering. 60,000 in the stands, 100 million tuned in. It don't get any bigger than this. It don't get any bigger. It don't get any bigger than this. Touchdown, do my dance, whoa. 60,000 in the stands, whoa. It don't get any bigger than this. Couple ends with the NIL, you could tell my opponent I wish him well. I'm a big deal with it, can't you tell? Got them maxed out in the NFL. Couple rings and mementos. Whole team keep it 10 toes. Got my head high at the same time. Keep my head down, gotta stay low. Sin City, but I got with me. Yeah, the pressure on, still calm in me. All the blood, sweat, tears hard on me. But the highs and lows making harmony. Hold up, whoa. Y'all are not hearing me, whoa. It ain't no fear in me, I hear them cheering. 60,000 in the stands, 100 million tuned in. It don't get any bigger than this.
Times they come around, can't let them bring you down, 'cause you're either living life or letting it pass by.
Racing isn't just a game, it's a way of life. Every lap, every moment. Practice is about consistency. Winning doesn't come easy.
Yo! My turn, Bubba.
Dude. Fuel the road. Own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals available now on Amazon.
Tonight, on Countdown to Green, we look back at week 1 of the Sunset Splash. The crew prepares you for the semifinals. And we've got wheels to give away with Logitech G. All of that and more, coming up on Countdown to Green.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Countdown to Green, presented by Logitech G for the final week of action in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by the Play vs. College League for the 2025-26 season. It's week 2 of the Sunset Splash, live from the virtual Homestead Miami-Speedway in Homestead, Florida. I am James Pike. Alongside me, Evan Pisoko. We are here to help prepare you for the last night of College Series action this season. Evan, Homestead Miami, a driver's track, so many different ways to approach it. And at the end of the evening, we are going to crown a champion once again.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it in just a minute. But the tournament week number 1 a week ago gave us some excitement, some thrills, some spills, and everything in between that is synonymous with, to your point, a driver's track at Homestead Miami. These trucks and this racetrack go so good together. I would be hard-pressed to find a better combo to send off another season of college action. And we've got a lot of scholarship dollars on the line as well as this season comes to an end, so a lot to talk about.
$3,000 to whoever wins this tournament and $10,000 to the champion, and it only goes down from there, Evan. Lots of fun to be had there. Lots of fun to also be had on NASCAR 25.
Yeah, it's got everything you would expect from a product that comes from the folks over at iRacing Studios. That's a laser scan track count in the 30-plus range, 40-driver multiplayer, and, of course, that in-depth career mode that you can start in the ARCA series and progress through your career to the trucks, to the O'Reilly Auto Parts cars, and eventually to the NASCAR Cup Series. It has been a ton of fun, and if for whatever reason you haven't got on it, whether you're a beginner or a pro, now is the time. It's available now on Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox.
And if you're looking for something of a slightly different flavor or variety in the iRacing world, then look no further than iRacing Arcade, which you can purchase now on Steam and will be available on Xbox and PlayStation later on in 2026. Plenty of cars, plenty of tracks. Barber Motorsports Park, Imola, Mexico City, the Miami International Autodrome. And then, if you need cars, you see the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup, prototypes from the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, FIA Formula 4, some other classes, not all. You've got an incredible career mode, and that as well, you build your own racing campus to build up a super team and an operation rivaled by few in the iRacing arcade world, and you can have a lot of fun with this along the way. So scan the QR code on the lower portion of your screen to check out iRacing Arcade on Steam today. We have been a lot of places this year, Evan Pusoko, and we have had a lot of fun in the college series. This is a look here at some of the drivers preparing for what we are about to see, and while they prepare, we remind you that drivers who have registered in at least one time attack over the course of the season have automatically been entered for a chance to win a prize pack, including a Logitech G923 True Force racing wheel and pedal set for the Xbox or PC, and iRacing credits, and a custom eNASCAR College iRacing Series t-shirt. You can scan the QR code on your screen to learn more, or head to bcl.tg/pages/eNASCAR for more information. Riding on board with the Belmont Abbey duo of Jalen Atkins and Jake Innes there, turning our attention to Western Connecticut State University's Jonathan Evans, who makes his way through turn 3.
Right now in the practice session, these drivers just rounding down towards the end of the session before we get ready to go and get off and away through the LCQs and the semifinal races en route to the final. Remember, there are points available to both the drivers who finish in the finishing positions in the LCQ, but the bulk of the points only available to the drivers who make it to that final round. So that is going to be important to start off on the right foot and with championship implications, not only for the top spot, right? The title's obviously the focus here. That's what's on the line tonight, but there's some prize money as well for some other opportunities. Top 3 in the championship going to be walking away with some really high dollar scholarship dollars. So that's going to be critical. And take a look back, James, at the season that we've had. There is, outside of that season opener in Charlotte, no comparable intermediate racetrack. We've really had a beautiful mix. Super speedways, short tracks with the Martinsville, and you can toss Iowa in there as well. Michigan on the D-shaped oval. It has been a lot of fun over the course of this 6-week campaign.
We've seen some things that we hadn't seen in a long time. We've seen a different kind of format this season as well. The tournament format that was introduced in this fall back at Charlotte in September, and we have carried through all the way here to Homestead Miami. Our focus turns to week 2 of this tournament, which has seen 39 drivers advance from the 120 that qualified for week 1 and will contest the 5 races that you see on the right-hand side of your screen in orange. 3 semifinals, 1 last chance qualifier, and the final round, the final race of the entire campaign will crown 1 more tournament winner. We're going to crown a college series champion. So That's what's on tap for this evening. Before we turn our attention to the racing, let's look back and see what happened in week 1 of competition, where Matthew Morton was dominant in Group 1 and had a fantastic run, not only in his first round race, but his second round race too. But that's not to say we didn't have a lot of action for the back of the field too.
Yeah, saw all those UNC Charlotte machines together. Seems like they always find themselves in the same group in week number 1 oftentimes. But you talk about Morton being able to take home the checkered flag in his group. And we moved on to group number 2. Remember, these races all without caution flag. So some of the chaos you saw early on in them pretty much guaranteed that these drivers were getting booted on. And we're not going to get that quick advance. A little bit of air time there as well. Some more of the 49er machines there. But it was then the Houston entry victorious in group number 2. Group 3, though, that was the chaos group.
Group 3 was indeed the chaos group. We saw a lot of incidents, but we also saw a lot of drivers who had been quick in college series events throughout this campaign. Bradley Erickson stormed from the back to the front. A typical run for the Arizona State Sun Devil. But Daniel Falkingham, all sorts of speed in Group 2. And then Connor Yarashak was able to get the job done in Group 3. He paced Logan Clampett and Adam Garza. They had a great battle up front, but Connor Yarashak first to the line again. Evan, something that we've said multiple times throughout this college series campaign.
And we've also enjoyed, all the different colleges. This new format has allowed us to see so many different collegiate institutions participate, and you get to see some matchups that you would never otherwise see in collegiate sports. But every time I saw that Michigan-Oklahoma battle, couldn't feel like I was watching college football. So you still have the staples of college sports rivalries mixed in with all of the different mix of schools who would never otherwise compete against each other in anything but the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. And that was week number 1 as we look at the drivers who have advanced here to tonight, week 2 coming up.
Heavy hitters, big names, colleges with multiple representatives. The University of Maine has got 2 in Nick Dyer and Daniel Falkingham. Belmont Abbey's got 2 in Jake Innes and Jalen Atkins. But there are some big names on the back of our set of roster as well. Clampett, Swack, Miranda, Garza, Forbes, all have been near the front or have won either races or tournaments in the past and would love to close out either their season and in some cases their careers in the college series with one more shot at glory. Before we move forward, let's take a look at tonight's Logitech G track analysis for Homestead Miami-Speedway.
It's a racetrack that has been a host to many championship weekends, both in the real world and here on the iRacing service. And Homestead, once again, the place where we do battle tonight. It's a 1.5-mile intermediate oval with progressively banked corners, 18 degrees on the bottom, 20 degrees up top. Drivers love it. Gives them plenty of options, especially in these trucks where they need to carry momentum through the turns. Pit road speed 45 miles an hour. Won't have to worry about that tonight unless we do see maybe a mid-ray caution flag in the feature race. But this racetrack has been around for now 30 years. Last time we called an eNASCAR race winner, it was one Steven Wilson, who has his own history here in the College Series as, of course, one of our previous champions.
He's a Coke Series champion. He's a College Series champion. He is a legend of this series, and we will likely have another join him in the ranks of the upper echelons of the College Series tonight. Now, we've had the opportunity to see every single angle and corner and nook and cranny of this College Series, and so we thought we'd take a moment here during our pre-race show to recognize some of the best mascots and some of the best paint schemes that we've seen over the course of 2025-26. And Evan, we have a lot of good ones that we want to highlight right now.
I mentioned we had so many schools to pick from, so the options were pretty much unlimited. But when we take a look at our favorites, we looked at paint schemes, we looked at mascots. My favorite mascot on the year was that of the University of Wisconsin in Whitewater. It's the Warhawks. It's something about just a bird, but a little bit more, right? It's a Warhawk. It's not just hawk, but also the colors, right? It's such a nice purple color. So that is my pick for my favorite mascot for the College Series this year. And a bonus, we actually get the mascot on the screen as well. So shout out as my pick.
A little bit harder to do that for our next mascot. Taylor Burris, who's been a part of the booth for a majority of the season, made a particular point to us. His favorite mascot was the University of Missouri at Kansas City, the Roos. They have a kangaroo as a school mascot. And those are the kinds of mascots that you remember. With due respect to lions and tigers and bears, oh my, Kangaroos are a little bit harder to find. He's got that fantastic sweater with that great rib collar too, so fashionable is the root as well. And then my pick, if you want to talk about unique animals for mascots, how about the University of California at Santa Cruz banana slugs? Truly one of a kind, truly hilarious both in execution and in the visuals. And Faraz Khan did a nice job representing the university, and he had some good runs over the course of the College Series season too in a great-looking car with a fantastic mascot at the end of it. Banana slugs for the win, Evan.
It is hard to object to that pick, and we'll move over to our favorite paint schemes. I went with Cégep de Victoriaville, of course, the Quebec school, and not to get too deep into it, but Cégep is an abbreviation for College d'Enseignement Général et Professionnel, and I will tell you that Mademoiselle Hagen and Monsieur De Lorenzo, my grade 3 French teachers, upset that I did not nail that one better. But Gringras, look at the colors. That truck, you could see it anywhere on the racetrack all season long. This, to me, was the easiest of the decisions for our favorite picks. I think that was the best truck we saw this season.
Worth noting that he played down his French abilities in our rehearsals and then brought them to the fore there. So
it was not very good, but
showing his Canadian roots is Taylor Burris submitted the purple and sort of gunmetal gray of Tarleton State University down in Texas. We've seen purple and black in with the University of Wisconsin Whitewater. Your favorite mascot, Evan, so that color combo kind of coming back here as well, and a great looking scheme. That purple chrome pops. My pick, Brendan Argenio and Folsom Lake College. I love this teal and this black combo, a little bit of green, a little bit of sheen, a little bit of chrome to it. But this was one of the schemes where every time I saw it watching these races, it popped and I knew exactly who was in the car. A one-of-a-kind scheme with a one-of-a-kind color, and my pick for favorite scheme of the 2025-26 season.
Well, we also got some storylines as we head into this final race, and we start off with the odd man out, Dylan Alt. He has been the #1 seed for 4 straight tournaments. However, that has yet to translate into a tournament race win. He has had some successful nights. He has had some tough ones. I think, obviously, the Old Dominion Classic, the Great Lakes Gauntlet with the DNF, things haven't gone his way. So it just goes to show you, you can go through the time attacks. You can get into these things as the #1 seed, but you saw the map of all the different races you have to get through just to get to a feature. It really is a gauntlet, and qualifying and getting there only part of the story. So we'll see if maybe he can get what he feels like he's due.
The College Series has grown in the 2025-26 season with the new tournament format. 550 students from 330 schools competed in College Series competition. 234 different students made tournaments from the time attacks, and that was an increase of an increase of 134% over the drivers who made just the A mains in the races 1 year ago. 162 schools participated in tournaments. 82 made the A mains last season. That almost a 100% increase as well.
And of course, then there were 3 of all the drivers who have participated with us this season. Only 3 of them have a mathematical chance at the title. Again, it's Connor Yurashak's to lose at this point, but Daniel Falkingham and Logan DeClampett, they're going to need 2 things tonight, and we'll get into the numbers as we go on, but they're going to need basically a perfect night, and they're going to need Yurashak to have some hardships. There is no in between. You need both, James, and as a driver, you see the gap, 27 and 29 points. You never want to have to rely on somebody else to have a bad night in order to get the job done. So Yurashak on the catbird seat. He's in the hot seat coming into this one.
Yurashak in control entering this evening, but anything can happen. Evan Pasoko, what are you looking forward to the most as we turn our attention to the last week of the season?
I'm looking to see how Yurashak handles the pressure, but I think he's just going to take this like any other race. If the other drivers aren't in his head and he goes out and does his thing, again, it's very difficult for them to do anything else. The key, though, you got to get through the semifinal. Get through it clean. If Yurashak gets to the feature, that all but mathematically locks it up. Curious if maybe he takes it a little bit easy and decides, maybe P2's not worth it to settle for a third. We'll see if he goes that route.
Clampett looking for his second title. Falkingham looking for his first, and Yurashak looking to become the first Canadian to win the College Series title. We find out who claims the trophy when we come back from the break. It's the College Series Sunset Splash from Homestead Miami next.
We've got a new intern joining
Let's
us.
make history, team. Talladega. Every tailgate gets a hype man. Idea 2, every first timer should get a Talladega welcome. And idea 3, use the spotters for the fans. Lock in here, buddy. Yeah, copy that, copy that.
Noah! Talladega is already the biggest party in NASCAR. You don't change it, you embrace it.
That's what I've been saying this whole time.
You haven't said that once.
It was implied.
Racing isn't just a game, it's a way of life. Every lap, every moment. Practice is about consistency. Winning doesn't come easy.
Yo!
My turn, Bubba.
Feel the road, own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals available now on Amazon.
Hey, now's the time, the kid on the rise, the top spot, when I see it, it's mine, I celebrate, yeah, I'm taking them fine, I can't tame, can't put me in line, gotta focus, standing on business, it's no emotion, full speed with it, can I coast to the championship, bring toast.
After week one's eliminations, we head back to Homestead one final time for the Sunset Splash. With 10 grand hanging in the balance for Connor Yaroshak, 39 drivers are still gunning for their own share of the prize pool.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to iRacing's coverage of Week 2 for the 6th and final tournament in the 2025-26 eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by Play vs. College League, the Sunset Splash, live from the virtual Homestead Miami-Speedway in Homestead, Florida. A good evening to all of you joining us wherever you may be. James Pike alongside Evan Pasoko to bring you the final night of action from this season of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Tonight, we find out who wins the final tournament, and Evan, we find out who wins the College Series title.
It is Connor Yaroshak is the man on the hot seat, looking to be a first-time champion and join some pretty big names who have won this college championship in the past. But tonight's also, I think, a milestone night for this series, James. By the time we hand out the scholarship money at the end of tonight, this series will have handed out more than $300,000 in scholarship money over its entire career. And we've already announced the 26-27 date. So the momentum is strong for this eNASCAR College iRacing Series. We are ready to witness some history here tonight in Homestead.
If only you and I had been young enough and there once upon a time where we could participate in these, Evan, where we could sim race and have that pay for our education. Would have been nice, but these drivers have taken advantage of the opportunity every way they possibly can to set themselves up here in the College Series to provide some fabulous and entertaining racing throughout the evening. So much to bring you over the course of this evening. What you need to know, we've got 5 races on tap, 3 semifinals, and then the last chance qualifier, and then the championship race. Once we get done with those 5, we'll know who wins the Sunset Splash tournament. We'll know who the champion of the College Series is for this season as well. And we'll be able to wrap up all of the storylines that we are entering this evening with. It's time to begin the action and start with our first semifinal of the evening for the Sunset Splash and take a look at our starting grid for the first race here on tap tonight. Douglas Newbigging, representing Kings College, starts on pole alongside the Houston Cougar, Abraham Vila. Maverick Davis from Kettering University rolls off third. Fourth on the grid is the Ball State Cardinal, Daniel Naney. Dylan Alt from Sacramento State, 4 times the number 1 seed entering these tournaments, looking for his first tournament win. And Zach Sprouse, the Patriot from George Mason University, starts in 6th.
Matthew Zwack from University of Michigan is going to be the inside of row 4 next to the Belmont Abbey College entry. That is Jake Innes. Daniel Falkydham, race winner from Michigan a couple of weeks ago. The University of Michigan at Machias Chevrolet is going to be next to the UNOH entry. That's Mateo Mitchell. In row 6, we will see another UNOH entry. This time it's the Toyota of Isaac Shelley. He's next to the Victoriaville Toyota. That's Mick Gringras.
One more driver on this grid is Dylan Bam from Bismarck State College in North Dakota, representing the High Plains of the United States. He'll roll off 13th on the grid. Those are your first batch of drivers who will contest this first semifinal race, and that gives us an opportunity, Evan, to look at tonight's first Logitech G race analysis.
Yeah, so semifinal heat number 1 due up first. 18 laps on the board, and it is fixed setups for all the trucks as always. So it's only going to be 27 miles. It's a quick race. We're used to that. Now, the top 5 will automatically advance through to the final round. That means they know they'll have an opportunity at max points tonight. If you finish from 6th position on back, you are headed to the LCQ, where it is do or die if you want to be racing in the final round tonight.
We'll take 15 from these first semifinals. We'll take 10 from that LCQ. That will give us a starting field of 25 who will contest the championship race. We are happy to announce that the next event for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series will be an exhibition, a non-points race, but a Sim Racing Expo showdown live from the Sim Racing Expo in Uptown Charlotte. Time Attack will open up May 11th. It will run for a full week, and May 24th in the Charlotte Convention Center on the live broadcast on site for those in attendance at 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time. One of the big events of the entire Sim Racing Expo calendar, and I know there are a lot of people, myself included, that are excited to get down to Charlotte and be part of the biggest sim racing convention the United States has ever seen, Evan.
It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of hype. It's a holiday weekend. It's in Charlotte. It's going to be a ton of fun. And again, glad to see the platform for this college series continue to grow. But before we can start talking about the Expo, and before we can start talking about next season, there's a matter at hand. That's crowning a champ, and it starts right now.
Newbigging and Vila to lead us to green for our first of 3 semifinal races in the Sunset Splash. Pace car peels off on pit road. Green flag is out. We're underway. And a more calm start, but there goes Dylan Alt immediately looking to the inside. We've seen somebody jump 3 wide into 1. Pretty much every race we've run here, no exception, is there already 3 in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, big bump there, and Abraham Vila way to the outside. That's the Houston Toyota. He gets caught as Sprouse gave him a shove to right the ship, and they're 3 wide, 2 rows deep, center of it all. So this entire pack of 13 trucks tightly condensed into turns 3 to 4. Your top 2 single file and clear. Newbigging has the advantage off of 4. The first battle's third odd back between Alt and Nanny, and there's the 3 wide. Zwack was in the middle until Falkenham decided to pull in line.
They are still 3 wide further back in this. It is an absolute mess from about 7th or 8th on back. Vila has the transfer spot at the moment. The red and white car just towards the left-hand side of the screen. The Zach Sprouse with a great run on the high line will inch ahead and bump draft Dylan Alt entering turn 3.
You can see Zwack now the lone taker up top as there's more door-to-door contact. Sprouse and Vila getting into it in the George Mason University machine, getting a little bit loose and out of shape. Let's jump on board with the University of Northwestern Ohio's Mateo Mitchell from Maynard, Mass. He's in the center of it all. He's got a great view of the 3 wide right now as he decides to ride the middle. Soon you'll see Innes. There he is, the Belmont Abbey driver to his outside. Big run off of 2 that benefits the Ram of Innes.
There was a very late block from Abraham Vila coming down the front stretch last time by. He almost got turned by Matthew Zwack, but was just able to get up to that high line in time. As you see Innes and Sprouse racing each other for position. Just ahead, you've got Zwack and Alt trying to battle for position as well.
You can see for the most part these drivers flirting with that white line. Sprouse got a little bit of it, loosened him up, but Isaac Shelley gets into the back of him with a shove down on the bottom. But after the restart, these drivers have tried to condense themselves down and to call it the bottom 2.5 lanes until, well, Dylan Bam way to the outside. He and it looked like Zawak, the only two drivers way up on the outside, still in no man's land. As there's a hip check. Bam came down on Shelley. A lot of door-to-door contact early in this race.
Good look at Daniel Nanny and Douglas Newbegin, who had paced this field pretty much from the drop. They've separated by maybe a car length or two ahead of Matthew Zwack. And then there's a good battle for fourth between Maverick Davis, Dylan Alt, and Daniel Falkingham. And Abraham Vila is starting to close in on it as well and make it a 4-truck battle right around the transfer spots.
And the driver on the move is that green entry of Alt down there on the bottom. I mean, he's the one trying to close the gap and to get up here and spoil the party as you get the onboard perspective from Innis right now running back in the number 8 position on the racetrack. You can see the Belmont Abbey watch party. As always, they see themselves tuning in every single week and supporting all of their drivers. Right now, it is Innis behind the wheel, needs 2 more to 3 more spots if he wants to get to a transfer spot, but right now trying to fight for P8. He's got a challenge. That's Mateo Mitchell trying to get underneath him. Innis shakes that one off for the time being. They get single file, a rare moment to catch their breath before we go right back at it again. Davis still the driver on the bubble, but a challenge looming pretty soon.
Maverick Davis, Dylan Alt, Abraham Vila, Daniel Falkingham. Matthew Zwack's been able to get away by maybe a truck length or two, so he's created just ever so slightly the tiniest bit of breathing room as Abraham Vila drifts up the racetrack. Almost left the door open for Innis, but Innis will tuck in line and try and get that run down the front stretch.
And Dylan Alt has been one of the faster trucks the last couple of times around. I mean, he's been slicing his way through the field, and I suspect he's going to clear Davis off of turn number 2 here, and he does. So you look from the perspective of your race leader. It's Douglas Newbegin still up at the front of the field in a battle for the race lead. It's Nady on the bottom. Here comes Zawak to the outside. The University of Michigan Toyota has been working the top all night. Can he get there? No! Newbegin slides up and shuts the door.
Fabulous work there from Douglas Newbegin to maintain that top line. He'll go down to the bottom once again in 1 and 2. And the question then becomes, what kind of run can Matthew Zwack get on the high line? On board with Clinton Townships, Michigan's Daniel Nanny, representing the Cardinals of Ball State, tried to wash up the racetrack, but Zwack was there with help from Daniel Falkingham. Look at the run those two get nose to tail down the backstretch.
A little bit of 2-truck tandem there up on the outside as those two got hooked together, and it's going to put Falkingham into the best position that he has had so far in this one after he started this heat race back in the number 9 position, but he's already driven his way all the way to 3rd. Big gains for Falkingham. Alt, though, another driver who's been equally as impressive, started outside of the cut line in 5th, has also been cutting through the field, and he's got his sights set on Falkingham. You got to, though. Look at the battle behind them. Nanny's right there. Vila's right there. The bubble not that far away from your top 3.
I think the most interesting piece of this bubble battle is that it's not really a situation where everybody here is locked in. Only Vila is the first one on the outside looking in. Alt is the last one to transfer spot, so there is reason to race. We've had a lot of cases where drivers have been comfortably in transfer spots and have battled. This is one where the battle is truly and properly warranted because it's the difference between automatically qualifying for the final and going to the LCQ.
And Dylan Alt's going to continue to be aggressive on Nady because if he doesn't, that happens right there. Vila crossing down to the bottom in a battle for the transfer spot. P5 is the benchmark you need. Vila can't get the run off of the corner he needs. What does Davis do? He doesn't even know. Looked low, looked high. Eventually he'll settle in line behind Dylan Alt, but it's a 3-truck battle with Alt, Vila, and Davis. Daniel Naney would love if this could continue to allow him to get away from it. 3 wide off of turn 2.
That then becomes 2. That then becomes 1. Zach Sprouse got a great run to the outside of Jake Innes going down the backstretch last time by. That's got Innes down on the inside lane. First time he's been down there. We'll go on board with Sprouse, who is just ripping the fence for all it's worth. And Innes is going to be able to slide up in front, and you'll see Sprouse go down to the bottom. And Vila looking to the inside of Alt, as Alt made the rear bumper wide on entry to 1.
Sprouse would love for this battle to continue so that he can get in on the action. Right now, the number 9 spot, now 8th that he sits in, not good enough. Vila going to come up, shut the door there. He's got Innes challenging to the bottom, so Jake Innes trying to make some news, and really nobody's fallen too far off, James. We've got Mitchell, Bam, Shelley, Gringus. I mean, they're all there hovering if anybody has a big error.
Maverick Davis has now got the transfer spot. Innes and Sprouse continue to battle. Sprouse with a great send in the corner. The problem is that as they continue to swap spots and pull sliders on each other, they're only dragging both of their trucks back towards the back of the pack.
We've seen that a lot, right? We've battles for 2 spots that are in a transfer position. It goes wrong and they take each other out. In this case, it's kind of the opposite. They're battling for a position outside of the transfer as man, Sprouse is super loose back there, and you can see the Kettering machine dropping in line. That's Davis. He needs one more position. The green Dylan Alt machine for Sacramento State. That is the cut line. This time by, looking at 3 laps to go. The next time by the stripe. Davis again. The bottom is open, but Alt is so good at getting that run off of the corner.
Mateo Mitchell goes around deep in the field and will be headed to the LCQ. Meanwhile, Dylan Alt trying to get away from Davis and Vila and make quick work of this battle for the transfer spot, approaching 2 laps to go in this semi.
And Dylan Alt can do one thing, and that is a little bit of offense. He wants to put Daniel Naney in between him and the transfer spot, so he goes down to the inside of the Ball State entry. They will go side by side for 4th. Do they slow each other down? Naney just into Alt, what Alt's been doing to everybody behind him. Just got the better run off of the corner, and now Alt's really going to wind this thing up top. Both he and Zawak right on the fence, trying to carry as much speed as they can to 2 to go.
Only getting tighter towards the rear end of the transfer window as Dylan Alt begins to run down Daniel Naney. Naney will have the opportunity to highline. Newbigging and Falkingham just in front of the battle for the transfer as well. They have not been able to separate themselves by all that much. There are your top 5, top 6, top 7, really all right in a row.
You get a second look. You mentioned the issue back in the pack. Well, you got a couple of UNOH trucks in relation to each other. It's Mitchell down on the bottom, and as they come off of the corner, he's just going to come up. Thought maybe that his classmate was going to tuck in line quicker. He didn't do so, so that's the issue there. Meanwhile, white flag is in the air, and a battle for the lead is on.
Battle for the lead, battle for the transfer. Falkingham to the inside of Newbigging. Newbigging will get the run off the corner. Everybody clean on exit of turn 2, fighting for a transfer spot. They'll have one more set of corners to try and sort this out, Evan.
And obviously the advantage to Newbigging, 3 wide. They're all going to make it. Can they stay clean? We're also 3 wide for the transfer.
Sliding and slipping all over the place, but everybody hangs on. And at the end of it all, Maverick Davis was able to keep the 5th spot ahead of Dylan Alt. And Davis will be the last one headed to our finale as Matthew Zwack was able to get Douglas Newbigging to win this first semifinal. So Zwack, Newbigging, Falkingham, Naney, and Davis, the 5 that automatically transfer. Alt leads the pack of drivers headed to the LCQ.
And that's tough. I know Newbigging's going to be happy he's in the show, but he led every lap but the final one. So that changed position on the last lap. And then also that battle for the bubble. Dylan Alt had it the last 5-6 laps. And then last corner, that pass was made by Maverick Davis. So Dylan Alt going to find himself with a good starting spot for the LCQ, but not a spot he wanted to be in.
Alt will have more work to do. We turn our attention now to the second semifinal race, and we will introduce to you the starting grid for the second crop of drivers that will look to lock in a place in the final of the Sunset Splash. 13 drivers that will take the grid, led by a former winner in the College Series. John Forbes Jr. out of Saddleback College starts on pole. Adam Garza from Triton College on the outside of the front row. Mario Miranda will be in the free agent pool for the Coke Series next month. The Oklahoma shooter starts third alongside him, former Coke Series competitor Timmy Holmes from Horry Georgetown Technical College. Jacob Bradley, representing Purdue University in Indianapolis, starts fifth. Sixth on the grid is Kutztown University's Nick Miller.
Back at row number 4, you'll find Ryan Arnold from Bryan College next to Jonathan Evans representing Western Connecticut State University. Back at row number 5, it is Davian Tobin from Richard Bland College and Jackson Anderson from Oklahoma State. Row number 6, we'll see the University of North Carolina at Charlotte's Brandon Hudson next to classmate Blake Wynn in the number 12 spot.
Final starter in this field, rolling off in the 13th position, is the inaugural tournament winner who took the Queen City Crown at Charlotte Motor Speedway back in September. It's Dylan Basin from Pasco Hernando State College in Florida. One more time, let's look at our Logitech G race analysis.
And it was pretty clean for all the contact that we had in the first heat race, but it stays the same here for heat race number 2. Still 18-lap distance. That gave us a good mix to allow some drivers to come back late on those fixed setups. Remember, 1st through 5th is the cut line. That is what matters. And we did not see a lot of separation in the first heat. I mean, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, they were all there, so the margin going to be super thin. One thing I noticed, though, is I was surprised, James, with how many drivers started outside of the top 5 and were able to race their way up there. So we know it's a competitive racetrack. Drivers love these trucks here at Homestead, but just because you may be starting inside of the top 5, do not get comfortable, do not get confident. You're going to have to work over the course of these next 18 laps.
Because drivers have options here. There are different lines that you can run at Homestead, and that's part of the challenge of maintaining track position at this track in particular. If you want more information on how to start your iRacing career, you can log on to iRacing.com today and learn how to get involved in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, so many of the other great initiatives available to all 200,000 plus iRacing members around the globe. iRacing.com, your home for all the information you need to get involved with the world's premier online motorsports simulation. John Forbes Jr., Adam Garza, Saddleback College and Triton College, the two that will lead us to green in the second semifinal of 3 that we will run here at Homestead Miami. Another 18 laps on tap, another 5 drivers who will immediately lock their way into the championship race. Forbes and Garza get us going, and we are underway with the second semifinal at Homestead. Three and 4 wide already, just looking a little bit further back. How about Timmy Holmes, who tried to make the middle work and just couldn't quite get the run there, but John Forbes Jr. did not get a good run out of 2, and here comes Timmy Holmes immediately to the bottom, looking for a spot in the top 3.
He's going for the top spot, 3 wide behind them. That's Jacob Bradley in the center of all of it, but he just really couldn't find a groove there. He ends up behind Arnold and Hudson. If they come off of 4, and these drivers already using this wide, progressively banked Homestead racetrack to their advantage. Look at Holmes on the bottom. Another spot gained just like that, and before you know it, he goes from 4th to 2nd.
Timmy Holmes taking advantage of cold tires. If you know where the threshold is, it's a little bit different on that first lap than it is once the tires come up the temp. And if you can find the edge of aggression, you can gain spots exactly in the way that Timmy Holmes just did. On board now with the Oklahoma Sooners, Super Mario, competing in his final night of eNASCAR College iRacing Series competition. He's been a staple of this series pretty much since its inception, and Super Mario going to look to cap off his campaign with a tournament win, trying to work to the rear of Nick Miller coming out of turn 2.
And got a heat race win last week in his group, and looking to carry that momentum through in a comfortable spot right now, P5. I know it's not a buffer, but he does have a couple of truck lengths back to Jacob Bradley. We'll see if the Purdue driver in P6 can close the gap. Right now, he's busy fighting with Brandon Hudson. It's going to be the UNC machine who actually gets that position back. So he'll move up. Bradley dropping down into the number 7 spot. Again, through all that, Timmy Holmes ends up as your race leader. Timothy Holmes now in the number 1 spot, so he obviously wants to be aggressive early. Maybe not a bad idea, because the alternative is racing in this, the mid-pack, just as messy as we were expecting.
Brandon Hudson has the transfer spot for the UNC Charlotte 49ers. You get a good look at Jacob Bradley, who's just behind the transfer spot, riding in the 8th position. There on the high line, working around Nick Miller, as one truck is going to get spun, and I think, yes, they will go sideways. Jonathan Evans makes contact there. I believe that was with Nick Miller on the back straightaway. Those two LCQ bound most likely, and that makes the job a little bit easier for those who managed to stay in the lead pack.
Take a look at our first replay on the night, bottom of your screen, and you can see some of the 3 wide we were talking about early in this one. It's a checkup and a huge moment, and eventually there is the tag and the spin. So around with the likes of Miller and others, it looks like Davian Tobin, the driver, who ends up down and involved with some right rear damage. So a couple of trucks getting beaten and banged up. Nothing too crazy, though. That's very similar to some of the damage we saw in Heat Race, or in semifinal, I should say, number 1. So for how close they've been, if that's the worst we get, I'll take it. But maybe I should go knock on some wood.
I'm about to say, I think there's a lot more racing left to happen before we can make any sort of statements with a proper degree of certainty. As you look at Brandon Hudson and Adam Garza, these two are the last 2 in as it stands. Dylan Basin trying to find an opportunity to get to the inside of Adam Garza and either look for a slide job in the middle of the corner or just a really, really good exit to wrest away that 5th position from Garza. But as it stands, no room for Dylan Basin to make anything work just yet.
There's a look off of the back of Garza, who runs into number 5 spot right now. Dylan Basin right on the bottom. The better run off of the corner gives the advantage to the Triton College driver. He is sticking with the top side. He's kind of following in the tire tracks of Brandon Hudson. You can see about a half a lane of difference there. Both of these drivers choosing the top, and in the center of the corner, the advantage goes to Basin down on the bottom, but lap after lap after lap, the top with the runoff is just that much better, and that was the strategy that led to the pass for the transfer spot at the end of semifinal number 1. So I like the idea from Garza. You just got to be careful, because all it takes is for Basin to get clear of you in the center of the corner, come up, slide in front, and shut the door. I think that's what Dylan's going to be thinking about from P6.
And you can see Garza immediately responding by driving a little bit lower on corner entry to take away the opportunity for Dylan Basin to pull the slider. We saw this with Jake Innes and Zach Sprouse in the first semifinal, where Sprouse was in that inside line and tried to pull the slider on Innes a few times, but couldn't get the job done, and eventually wore out his tires and fell back a little bit off of Innes' truck in the end. So if you're Basin, you have to be careful. There are, I think, a limited amount of times where you can attempt to dive in deep and pull the slider and have a realistic opportunity to make it work, because if you continue to do that and you don't find a way to make the pass, then you just end up burning your right front tire, and then you have no ability to get through the corner whatsoever.
10 laps to go, and one thing I'm noticing is a lot more separation in semifinal number 2 than what we saw in semifinal 1. I mean, just look at the gaps on the pylon. 2 tenths here, 4 tenths there, nearly a second from 8th to 9th. I mean, just the separation that we did not see early on in the first one. Does that mean there's not a lot to fight for? No, because of course the tightest battle on the racetrack is the battle around the bubble. Hudson, Garza, Basin. Garza with a slide job on Hudson. He'll take away P4 with that move.
Really interesting to see how Hudson approaches this. We know that Garza's been good up top. We know Basin's tried to go down to the bottom. Hudson's going to try and do the same, but can he maintain air on the rear spoiler? Can he maintain control of the rear end of his Toyota Tundra? Not enough to be able to make the pass on Garza, who maintains 4th for the moment. And Basin's going to have some decision-making to do here, I think, in a moment, because he's got a truck with pace, with speed, but he's got 2 drivers that are pretty much running exactly where he wants to run his line.
And a quick check-in on the lead, not missing anything up front. Timothy Holmes has been in control for basically the entirety of this thing. John Forbes Jr., that's the driver second in line, the Saddleback College machine, and then 3rd place driver Mario Morendo way up top in the number 3 spot. We'll see if anybody wants to challenge for position. We talk about the pros and cons between fighting for positions that are above the cut line and the risks associated with it, But of course, the better finish you get in your semifinal, the better starting position you'll have in the final round, to the tune of 3 spots in that final for every spot higher or lower you are in this race.
You may have caught it just to the backside of the screen, but Dylan Basin was able to finally pull a slider on Brandon Hudson, and they swapped the final transfer spot on the first spot on the outside looking in as we go on board with Jackson Anderson, who currently rides in 7th, just 1 behind Hudson and 2 behind Basin at the transfer spot.
Yeah, Hudson's just going the wrong direction right now. He started way back in the number 11 spot, and it was really aggressive early. Kind of blitzed his way through this field, got all the way up to the number 4 position, but Garza passed him back, Basin passed him back, and Anderson, Bradley, and Moore, I think, want to add themselves to that list as you're on board with the Oklahoma State University driver Jackson Anderson. So I think whatever the gamble was to be aggressive early, you talked about the line and the limit for the cold tires. It feels like Hudson does not have the truck now that he had maybe 10 laps ago.
You get 1.5 laps really to be aggressive in that way. We saw with Timmy Holmes, that's how he got to the front. But once the tires come up to 10, you're almost locked in a window of sorts with the amount of aggressive moves that you can take and the way you can run these lines. And once the window shuts, you push it too hard, the fall off becomes very apparent and very obvious very quickly. We're seeing that with Hudson, who's now back to 7th and could be back to 8th if he's not careful.
3 laps to go that time by. The gaps continue to grow for your lead 3 trucks. Garza, Basin, they're fighting for 4th and 5th, but I feel like the battle with Hudson and company behind them is going to allow these top 5 to stay clear. As long as Dylan Basin and Adam Garza don't get too carried away in this battle right here for the number 4 spot, I just don't see the speed out of anybody P6 on back to catch him. Now some excitement in the battle for the race lead. Semifinal 1 came down to the final lap. Here comes Forbes down to the inside.
John Forbes Jr. right on the edge, down to the bottom with a massive slide job all the way up the racetrack. He might have gone too high up near that wall, because here comes Timmy Holmes back down on the inside with a good run down the backstretch.
And he has the challenge with being on the inside. He's going to have to try to slide up and get in front of him to clear for the lead now as he ends up on the bottom. It's a reversal, and as they stay side by side, here comes Mario Miranda. 1 lap to go from Homestead. It's a 3-way battle for the race lead.
Miranda will take it easy into the corner. Contact there between Timmy Holmes and John Forbes Jr., and Forbes Jr. is going to go in the fence, and Miranda might be able to take the lead on the inside as Holmes is sideways out of turn 2. 3 wide for the lead in the semifinal down the backstretch, and Dylan Basin with a great run up top, almost 4 wide there in the corner. They'll come together in the middle of 3 and 4 as Miranda and Timmy Holmes make contact, and that is going to give the clearance as John Forbes Jr. makes a miraculous recovery to take over this semifinal. He wins semifinal number 2 after getting fenced there middle of 1 and 2 on the last lap.
And can you believe, I thought Mario Miranda was going to win this race with the huge run on the inside of turns 1 and 2. He ends up the lowest out of all 5 of those drivers when it comes to your results. Forbes, Basin, Holmes, Garza, and Miranda, the 5 drivers in that order advancing to the final.
I have a feeling that amongst those top 5, there's not going to be any Christmas cards sent. They race each other very hard in that semifinal, and they'll have the opportunity to do it one more time in the final a little bit later. It is time for our 3rd semifinal of the evening. Last crop of new drivers that we'll have to introduce. So these are the final 13 drivers whose names we've not yet called, and this is where their campaign begins in week number 2. The Wichita State Shocker, Lane Graves, sits on the pole alongside the defending champion and a driver trying to go for 2 titles in a row in this college series, the Cal State Fullerton Titan, Logan Clampett. Jalen Atkins, the Belmont Abbey Crusader, starts 3rd alongside St. John's River State College's A.J. Hyder. Matthew Morton, you heard on the Coke Series broadcast last night, representing the Ohio State Buckeyes, and the points leader searching for his first college series title, Connor Yarashak, the University of Calgary Dino, starts 6th.
He starts below the cut line and has work to do. So does Tyler Skozen, the driver representing University of Northwestern Ohio, and Nick Dyer alongside outside of row number 4 for the University of Maine. Row number 5 sees the ASU entry for Bradley Erickson and the Converse University Ford of Jake Cummings. Row 6, and it is Aaron Brown in the Eastern Shore Community College machine. That's another, I think, honorable mention in the best paint scheme category in the year. He's next to Jose Solis Jr., representing the University of Connecticut. He starts in the number 12 spot, and then only Connor Trafari on row 7 for the University of North Carolina at Charlotte.
There are your 13 drivers for this third semifinal. One more time, we'll take a look at our Logitech G race analysis for the semi.
Fun and interesting. 2 semifinals in the books, 2 different complexions. They both had action, but semifinal number 1 tightly packed. Semifinal number 2 split up across the 18 laps that these drivers will have in this final semifinal race of the season. And you see all the big names and all the big faces in this one. Logan Clampett, left-hand side of your screen, is a former champion at this level. Daniel Falkingham, race winner, one of the drivers who would love to play spoiler, but they're all chasing that man on the right-hand side. Connor Urashak looking for his first title, and step number 1, you gotta get through to the final. If he does advance through to the final by finishing inside of the top 5 in this race, that would mathematically eliminate Logan Clampett.
That was the big piece that I was getting ready to bring up. That Connor Urashak comes into tonight with a 27-point advantage over Falkingham and a 29-point advantage over Logan Clampett. The maximum amount of points that you can earn between first and last in the final is 28. So if Urashak can make the final, that then becomes a gap that mathematically Logan Clampett cannot make up in any possible way. Falkingham would still have an opportunity. It would require a lot to go his way, but Clampett would be out of contention mathematically if Urashak is able to finish in the top 5 of this race. He'll start in 6th, 1 spot outside of the transfer positions to begin the semifinal. Lane Graves and Logan Clampett will start 1st and 2nd. Clampett trying to add another title to a championship and then a runner-up finish the year prior in this series. Green flag is out. We are underway with the last semifinal of the Sunset Splash. Trouble there a little bit further back for Scooty T. Tyler Skozen was all kinds of loose in the middle of the corner. That checked up everybody on the inside lane. Clampett and Hyder working the high line and immediately getting somewhere with it. Then Urashak, then Graves, then Matthew Morton, rest of the top 5.
And it wasn't the best of starts for Graves either. It's hard to miss that Wichita State machine on the bottom, but he's going to end up in the 3rd spot. Clampett to the lead early. AJ Hyder through to 2nd. We're not done yet. Connor Urashak started this race. We mentioned it. He had a little bit of work to do in the number 6 spot below the cut line. We are not even a lap and a half into this race. He's already fighting for a spot inside of the top 3.
Connor Urashak already in a good spot, up to 3rd now, working over AJ Hyder for the runner-up position. And then Logan Clampett would be next. Clamp clear by maybe about 3 or 4 truck lengths on this battle for 2nd place as Connor Urashak begins to stomp the St. John's River State College driver in AJ Hyder.
And Graves continuing the struggle, loses another spot as Jose Solis Jr. from UConn makes a pass in the battle for 4th and 5th spot. So he goes up to 4th. It is now Lane Graves on the bubble in the number 5 position. Aaron Brown, Cummings, and more back there trying to get up and get a part of this battle. But I think the first person to get a crack at Graves for the bubble is going to be Matthew Morton.
Riding on board with Nelsonia, Virginia's Aaron Brown, who is currently scored in the 11th position. This is the battle between Graves and Morton. This for the transfer spot as well. Morton on the outside of it, Graves on the inside of it. Drivers trying to claw their way into this fight and make this a multi-truck battle. Morton didn't get the greatest of runs off of turn 2, and Atkins now bump drafting with one of the main drivers. It's Nick Dyer there, the University of Maine machine.
Well, this is the quickest we've seen the field get single file in any of the semifinals thus far as you jump on board with Jalen Atkins right on the bumper of Ericsson as he sits in the number 9 spot. If he's going to make something happen here, he has some work to do. Ericsson and Dyer in a battle for what is the 7th and 8th position in this race. They're all still chasing down that bright yellow entry at Graves, who is still the bubble driver. As Logan DeClampett trying to pull away up front and lead this single file train.
Riding on board with Poptown, North Carolina's Jake Cummings. About 50 minutes outside and to the northwest of Winston-Salem is Poptown, one of the more fun cities and towns to pronounce in this college series. And Cummings, a longtime veteran of competition. He's got the t-shirt on, as you look at his onboard camera, that is part of our We Got Wheels giveaway. So trying to close out his season and his run of the college series with a good finish as we continue to keep our eyes on Graves and Morton, who have not been able to distance themselves from each other and continue to make this a tight battle for the 5th and final transfer spot.
First chance really we've had all night looking at all of these semifinal races to collect our thoughts and kind of assess the field as we check out the battle for the number 7 spot. That's where it's at right now. Nick Dyer, Bradley Erickson, ASU driver, getting down to the inside. He's going to make a challenge down the back straightaway and then again has to face the same challenges that everybody else has. You're not going to beat Dyer off the corner. You need to clear him in the center to take that run off, and he does. An aggressive slide up from center off, and Bradley Erickson gets the position gained.
Great work there from Erickson. That may have opened up an opportunity for Atkins as well, as Dyer did not get a good run out of turn 4 that last time by, but Atkins wasn't able to drive it deep enough into the corner to capitalize, and so Dyer's going to have the run coming down the back straightaway.
Erickson trying to get away. We look off of the back now of race leader Logan DeClampett in this one, trying to continue to lead the way. Won championships in this college series back in the spring of 2023 season and then the 2024-25 season. It's a long shot as he looks to become the first 3-time champion in series history, but again, the challenge for him is Yereshak in 3rd. That would be enough to put a nail in the coffin, but doing enough right now to at least to advance on to the final.
Regardless of how it plans out for Logan Clampett this evening, he has had a glittering career in the college series. 3 years where his worst points finish potentially is going to end up being 3rd. Pretty impressive, I think, by any measure, if you're looking at it, as we get another good shot at Graves and Morton, who just will not separate no matter how hard they try.
That's the way it is sometimes, and there's a big throw down to the bottom for Matthew Morton. Slide job, wants that outside lane. Graves is going to have the better run down the back, but Morton has the position that he wants. He wants to be up top. Now he has to pinch Graves down. You can't let him clear you to put the slide job on you off of the corner. So the battle for the transfer ongoing on the top of your screen. I think it's working out right now in the favor of Morton. That way they navigated turn 3 and 4 exactly what he would have wanted, but he didn't get clear, so he's got to do it again.
Really great battle here for 9th between Dyer and Jalen Atkins. A classic case of pinching from the bottom versus trying to maintain momentum on that high line. Dyer's been able to keep the position at least for the last few corners, but Atkins has not let go and has not given up the fight.
Just keeping an eye on both of those battles as the battle for P9 for the moment swinging in favor of Nick Rowe and able to get that position gained. So Nick Dyer takes the spot away in the end. We'll see if Jalen Atkins is able to come back on him at all, but Dyer did a good job, made the pass, and we'll see if maybe Jake Cummings or Aaron Brown can get in on this mix, but they're all running out of time and maybe at this point simply just jockeying for better track position when it comes to the LCQ, because all of that fighting that they have been doing, hurting themselves and trying to get up to Morton. He's not that far away, but laps clicking down that time by now, just 6 laps to go.
Connor Yereshak riding in the 2nd position here and in control of this. Again, remember, if Yereshak finishes the top 5, mathematically Clampett is eliminated from championship contention. So Yereshak closing in on his first college series title and in very, very strong position now to try and transfer.
He's just doing such a good job all night of just picking off spots. Got a lot of them in bulk right off at the jump. Had to work a little bit harder to get that spot in the number 2 position. And now we'll see if we get a third battle for a semifinal race win on the night. And as Yurashak was able to get around Hyder, now Hyder dealing with Solis in a battle for what's going to be 3rd and 4th. Morton running away with the number 5 spot. You're going to have some desperate drivers here. All 3 of these guys, Erickson, Graves, and Atkins, on the outside looking in, and the guy they're trying to chase is pulling away. So if Erickson doesn't have the speed to get there, you got to get around him sooner rather than later. I just don't see that happening, though, for Graves. He's really struggled once we drop the green flag.
Amongst those 3 drivers, Jalen Atkins has done the best job of managing his tires and equipment. The question is whether or not Atkins is going to have enough time to make the passes here on any one of Erickson or Graves or company and get to Matthew Morton. The pace is there for Atkins, but he may run out of laps to do anything with it.
And that's the gap. Trying to get to Matthew Morton. He is the man on the transfer line right now, representing the Ohio State University. But Erickson, Graves, Atkins, even Dyer, right? Cummings right there. They're just going to need more than what we've seen out of them. And with only 3 laps to go, you're going to need to be about a 1/10.5 quicker per lap. I struggle to see that pace happening unless Morton makes a self-inflicted error. He's not in a battle at all. P4 is up the road. It's just him. All he's got to worry about is 3 clean laps here to lock down that final transfer spot.
Lane Graves tucking in behind Erickson. Where does Atkins go? Thought about going to the bottom. Instead is going to try and run the high line again. On board with Clampett and Yurashak. 1st and 2nd in this particular semifinal race. Yurashak trying to eliminate Clampett from mathematical championship contention with 2 laps to go in the semifinal.
There's a good look at those top 2. Is Yurashak is the closest he has been yet. They're going to be battling for 3rd behind him. Solis up on the outside. Hyder loses that position, so Solis now to race high 3, and here comes Yurashak down to the inside. Battle for the race lead amongst your championship contenders.
Yurashak finally decides to hit the go button and takes over control of this semifinal. Clampett going to have to get around him and make something happen if he wants to find some way to make this work. Solis maybe going to give Yurashak the bump up top as they take the white flag.
And if you're Solis, how do you take advantage of this? Look at the huge send by Clampett, throwing it into the corner. Yurashak saw it coming. Can he get to the inside? He can't. It's Clampett who shuts the door.
Clampett there in front. He takes the lead away from Yurashak in this semifinal. What kind of move will Yurashak make entering 3 and 4? Look at Solis with a big run on the high line. Three, 4 trucks at the end and at the line. It is Clampett who will get the semifinal win, but Yurashak will finish 2nd. He will advance to the final 2. Clampett now eliminated from mathematical contention for the overall title despite the win in this semifinal, as Connor Yurashak has made the math a little bit simpler for him to clinch.
Yeah, and with that, even though Logan Clampett's going to be your semifinal number 3 winner, Yurashak advancing to the final round. It means that Logan Clampett has officially been eliminated from championship contention. So his title hopes end here, but is still moving on to the feature along with Atkins, Hyder, and Morton, the 5th and final driver who held on for that spot.
And to the last chance qualifier now, the last opportunity for these drivers to find their way into the final for tonight's Sunset Splash. Here's a look at the grid. Alt and Hudson are the first drivers outside of transfers, so they start on the front row. Erickson, Vela, Bradley, Graves, all incredibly quick in their semifinal races.
Yeah, a lot of speed and obviously not the transfer result they needed, but it's going to give them the best starting spot for this large grid. Jake Innes and Jackson Anderson going to make up row number 4. Jalen Atkins, Zach Sprouse at row 5, and then Blake Wynn and Jake Cummings through your top 12 starters.
Dylan Bam, Ryan Arnold, Nick Dyer was competitive in his semifinal. Isaac Shelley, Jonathan Evans had bad luck, and we'll look for the redemption story here. Aaron Brown for Eastern Shore Community College rolls off in the 18th position.
Mick Ingris is going to be in center at number 10 alongside Davian Chobin. That's through your top 20 starters. Connor Trafari and Mateo Mitchell on row number 11, and then Nick Miller and Tyler Skozin on row number 12. It's a field that is almost just as big as what we'll see in the 25 truck feature coming up. 24 drivers lined up and ready to do battle. It is the last chance qualifying time in Homestead.
Dylan Alt, we talked about him on our Logitech G Countdown to Green pre-race show. He's been the fastest qualifier in the time attacks for 4 consecutive tournaments. Here, Martinsville, Michigan, and Iowa. He was the fastest out of all the 120 that has not converted into a win in one of these tournaments yet. This is the last opportunity for Alt to make it happen as we look at our Logitech G race analysis for the LCQ.
Yeah, and a lot of these numbers are going to look similar. It's another 18-lap fixed setup sprint race. 27 miles, your total race distance, but the transfer bubble is what changes. Instead of top 5, we're looking for the top 10. Some more trucks. I would expect this one to look a lot more like what we saw at a semifinal number 1. Chaos, 3 wide, several rows deep. But if you're inside of the top 5 and away from that bubble battle, pick and choose your battles. That's where we've seen drivers get overly aggressive and wreck for spots where if they had just let good enough be good enough, they would have been in the show no matter what. It's going to take a little bit of discipline for the trucks up front. It's going to take some desperation from the trucks near the back if you want to get into the show.
I think the scariest proposition for the drivers in the middle of the pack, we've seen a lot of drivers struggle turn 1, lap 1 on cold tires. You have to drive these trucks differently in that first set of corners than you do at any other time in any of these races. We've seen drivers spin out. We've seen drivers get taken out and caught up in somebody else's incident. So half the battle, I think, for the second half of this grid, just make sure you make it to the backstretch in one piece and not spun around in some way, shape, or form. Alt and Hudson lead us to green. 10 more drivers going to try and find their way into the finale of the Sunset Splash as we go racing once again from Homestead. Already Alt making a move to the top line to try and cut off Brandon Hudson, Bradley Erickson, Abraham Vila working that high line so far as they fan out 3 and 4 wide here in the middle of the corner at Homestead.
And it's Alt who's going to have the advantage. Look at that shot. 4 wide throughout the field at the end of lap number 1. It is Dylan Alt who's able to maintain from pole the top position. Maybe second is sorted. Erickson, Hudson, maybe not done yet, but look at this into midfield. And the wrong direction there, 4 wide for Bradley in the middle.
Big fight there right in the heart of this pack. Isaac Shelley, Blake Wynn down on the bottom. Aaron Brown gets sideways, gets sent, gets turned, and gets spun out as a few trucks wash up, and that's going to clean out a lot of the trucks in the back of this field, and that speaks to just trying to stay away from somebody else's problem. 1 truck goes sideways, 10 trucks get collected, and it makes the bubble battle that much tighter.
Yeah, it was a lot of them. It was Jobin, you got Bam, Brown, Rowe, Bradley, Trafari, and Moore. So a lot of names going to get swallowed up. We really didn't see that at any of the semifinals, but we see our first big one, and it's going to take a lot of drivers out of contention. Their college campaign going to end with that wreck, and you can see them all on the bottom of your scoring pylon. Pretty much jutting out of this race. It'll leave 18 competitive race trucks on track, vying for the top 10 positions. Most of them single filed out after that accident. Let's take a second look at what happened.
Good look here at the 4 wide battle that just continued to manifest, exiting the back straightaway and into turn 3. Aaron Brown's just to the left of the picture in the white and blue and green machine. Contact with one of the Charlotte 49ers. Dylan Bam was stuck in the wrong place, wrong time, and just got caught up in it. And then there were a handful of other trucks that ended up stuck in this battle too.
Took a little bit of the edge out of the start of this race with that accident, taking a lot of trucks out and just trying to spreading the field out a little bit. Through your top 13 is still pretty tight, so obviously that's going to mean it's a good battle around the bubble, but beyond that, it's a lot of drivers really starting to straggle back and lose touch with this lead pack. Now, plenty of action still going on. You saw that bright yellow machine, Elaine Graves, down to the inside of Zach Sprouse in a battle for P6. Behind them, Wynn and Atkins were doing a battle, and Dylan Alt, of course, can see all of those different fights from his rear view mirror because the driver out of Sacramento, California for Sacramento State, leading from the drop. Riley Erickson keeping him honest, though. That's about a 2 truck length gap between your race leader and the runner-up.
So Dylan Alt in control of this race. Jalen Atkins and Blake Wynn currently fighting for the transfer spot in 9th and 10th, and everybody else trying to chase down the race leaders for the time being.
Just calm, cool, and collected. Exactly what you want to see at a Dylan Alt. And again, you've got a wide berth for error. So if you see a battle for the race lead, you're going to make a decision. Do you want to fight over it, or do you just kind of let things go? Again, top 10's a lot more buffer room than what you would have had out of any of those LCQs. And from one Belmont Abbey truck to another, it is the one under fire is Jackson Anderson trying to play instigator. The Oklahoma State Chevrolet was on the bottom. Now he'll go way to the outside, trying to stir up a fight here for the number 4 spot. And a guy going wide, it invites the George Mason University entry, Zach Sprouse and even Lane Graves into that conversation.
Really, really entertaining battle here because you've got some drivers who have shown some speed right in this mix. Sprouse has been quick in a lot of his races. Graves has been quick in a lot of his races. And Jalen Atkins has worked his way up here around some of the 49er trucks and into the 8th position for the time being. Big block there on Brandon Hudson, but Atkins takes the spot.
And you saw a few laps ago the plus-minus shuffle. A lot of drivers taking advantage of the accident. I think of Jackson Anderson. I think of Zach Sprouse. Some of the drivers able to jump up above the cut line courtesy of the early race chaos. Just got to weather the storm now. You're halfway there. The next time by, 9 down, 9 to go. A lot can still happen. Blake Wynn is the driver on the bubble at the moment. He's, I'm not going to say uncontested, but he's working a 3 truck length advantage over Isaac Shelley. So has some breathing room for the moment as Lane Graves completes a slide up on top of Zach Sprouse and they exchange P6.
Sprouse has been trying to hang on to the spot there. Look at the weave there from Brandon Hudson trying to go to the inside of Atkins, who slid up to take that high groove. That line's been a little bit more successful when it comes to carrying momentum, but if you can pull the slider on corner entry, as we may see here for Brandon Hudson, you can get some track position. Hudson's going to get the spot away from Atkins. Atkins will respond by immediately going back down to the bottom, and the watch parties both at UNC Charlotte and Belmont Abbey with eager eyes upon this as their representatives fighting for position and fighting for a spot in the final.
Dueling watch parties in the battle for 8th and 9th position. Both of their drivers inside of the cut line, but they have to be aggressive with one another because that margin to that red line behind the number 10 spot is oh so thin. I mentioned Wynn was the bubble driver. He still is. He is right behind Atkins and Hudson, and that's because Jonathan Evans from 11th has driven up to the bumper of Blake Wynn. So the battle for the bubble creeping its way forward.
Zach Sprouse is going to have to figure out something here because he's got Jalen Atkins trying to get to his inside. He's got Brandon Hudson trying to go to his outside, and Sprouse himself just trying to hang on to the track position for the moment as Hudson's going to look to the inside of Atkins.
And as they stay side by side up in front here, you're watching the battle for the number 9 spot or so. Behind them, it is going to be a change for position for 10th as the bubble spot has changed hands. It's Evans in front of Wynn now. That'll put Blake Wynn below the cut line. And again, Zach Sprouse knows that all of that is happening just a couple of truck lengths behind him. You got to keep the pressure up. You got to stay aggressive to get away from a charging Jonathan Evans.
Jonathan Evans is making moves and all of a sudden making his way around some of the 49ers who have been on the bubble. Evans has now raced his way into the top 10. Big drive there as Blake Wynn is starting to fade and Evans is starting to charge.
Just scanning through the field and looking at all the different battles that are going on. At this point in time, 5 laps to go. In the final semifinal LCQ of the season, this is the battle for the next man up. Blake Wynn had been above the bubble, but after getting passed by Jonathan Evans, he's been going the wrong direction. If I'm Ryan Arnold, if I'm Isaac Shelley, I got to get this pass done quick. I am running out of time to get up to Jonathan Evans, who in P10 is pulling away now.
Because you can have this fight, you can have a good battle for the transfer spot, but it may not mean anything in the end because Evans is the one who really holds the key to a spot. The final is they wreck each other on the front straightaway as Ryan Arnold goes around to the inside. Tyler Skosen stuck down there too, and that will end their College Series campaigns early.
Not what you needed, but you knew it was desperation time. Holding the status quo and accepted a 12th or a 13th place finish in this LCQ was not going to be enough. I think that might as well just wrap it up if you're Evans. Wynn just hasn't had the bite needed. Up front, though, have a battle in the number 2 spot between Vila and Ericsson, coming to 3 laps to go.
Really good fight here for that P2 battle. Jake Ennis is tucked in just behind these two as well. So Ennis with the opportunity to maybe do something if these two get into each other. Vila trying to not walk it up the racetrack. Ericsson doing a nice job behind the middle. Vila with a little bobble on the exit of the corner. Ennis will go up top.
Split screen action up. Battle for second. Top of your screen on the bottom. It's the battle for the number 8 position. All the trucks in that screen but the last one. Blake Wynn outside of a transfer spot, and it's trouble up front.
Jake Ennis gets spun down to the inside and is going to get spun out of a transfer spot from the top 5. As Ericsson and Vila continue their fight. Heartbreak, though, for Ennis, who is well within the transfer and falls out of it just at the tail end of proceedings.
And Vila, apologizing to Ennis over the radio, said that he was trying to get in line behind him, but the words could only mean so much because Jake Ennis goes from being in a transfer spot to eliminated. You see the second look at the contact there on the bottom. Meanwhile, white flag in the air.
Here is your transfer battle. Jake Cummings, the first one on the outside looking in, as Dylan Alt is well clear of all of this. And Dylan Alt going to be in the final with some ease as Alt continues to separate and maybe make the case that we might need to pay a little bit more attention to him in the final race. Dylan Alt bringing it home for Sacramento State. He will win this LCQ. And speaking of Wynn, it will be Blake Wynn, the final driver to transfer.
Well, what a turn of events for Blake, because he had lost that transfer spot about 10 laps ago. Worked to fight his way back, but without the Ennis spin, he would have come up short. He was trying to get to Evans, so it is a saving grace for Wynn to end up in. There's a look at your top 10 drivers who are moving on.
Alt, Ericsson, Vila, Graves, Anderson, Hudson, Sprouse, Atkins, Evan, and Blake Wynn. The 10 drivers that are going to advance. Cummings, the first driver on the outside looking in. All these drivers see their campaigns in early.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate break for a lot of those guys. Of course, Ennis is the driver who should have made it through. And then a lot of drivers taken out with an early accident meant that Bam, Tobin, Dyer, and Bradley never really got a fair shake in this LCQ. Tough end to their campaign for the 25-26 season.
We will take a break and we'll be back on the other side with the championship race of the Sunset Splash, the final race of the College Series campaign coming your way next here from Homestead Miami.
We've got a new intern joining
Let's
us.
make history, team. Talladega. Every tailgate gets a hype man. Idea 2, every first timer should get a Talladega welcome. And idea 3, use the spotters for the fans. Walk in here, buddy. Yeah, copy that, copy that.
Noah! Talladega is already the biggest party in NASCAR. You don't change it, you embrace it.
That's what I've been saying this whole time.
You haven't said that once.
It was implied.
Racing isn't just a game. It's a way of life. Every lap, every moment. Practice is about consistency. Winning doesn't come easy.
Yo!
My turn, Bubba.
Feel the road. Own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals available now on Amazon.
The eNASCAR College iRacing Series is brought to you by Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. And by Play vs. College League, the largest collegiate community, bringing in the new era of esports for students across the country. Learn more at pcl.gg. And by NASCAR 25, available now on the Xbox Store, PlayStation Store, and on PC with Steam. For more information, visit NASCAR25.com.
Welcome back to coverage of the Sunset Splash for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by Play vs. College League. Reminder that we have a fun end-of-season exhibition coming your way May 24th, high noon on the Eastern Seaboard at Sim Racing Expo Charlotte, right in the heart of uptown Charlotte, North Carolina. At the Charlotte Convention Center, you'll see some of the best and brightest of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series participate in a special race that we broadcast live to the audience at the show in uptown Charlotte. The biggest series of intercollegiate racing on iRacing meets up with the biggest sim racing event and convention in all of North America. It is going to be a fabulous time, I think, when we get to May 24th. And never mind the fact that we've got 1,100 miles of racing to pay attention to in addition to this that day as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun weekend for those in attendance. And if you're not, maybe a great opportunity for all of that split-screen viewing. Get an opportunity to add the College Series to your Memorial Day weekend platter. Well, let's take a look at how we got here over the course of what were 3 semifinals and an LCQ that had their moments of, dramas and spins. It all started with a wild LCQ, or I should say semifinal number 1. 2 and 3 calmed them down just a little bit.
It got calmer, but there were incidents a little bit further back in the track. Nick Miller ended up in trouble. Great battle here between Miranda and Timmy Holmes and John Forbes Jr., who ended up winning his semifinal race. In the second semifinal, you had Logan Clampett, you had Connor Yarashak, you had 2 of the best all season long going after it. And even though it was Clampett who got the job done, Yarashak is going to be the one with one hand on the title entering this final race. Trouble in the back in these LCQs, trouble in the back in these semifinals as well. And some tough battles here to try and make it to the end as Dylan Alt was well clear of the field out front. And then the LCQ comes in and brings a tremendous amount of chaos to leave us with this, the final 25 drivers ready to compete for an opportunity in scholarship money, and for one of them, the opportunity to go after a title. Rather, 2 mathematically eligible. Zwack and Forbes on pole and second in this grid. Clampett and Newbigging rolling off 3rd and 4th. Dylan Basin and Connor Yarashak rolling off from the 6th position.
It's your race winner from Michigan a couple of weeks ago, Daniel Falkenham on the inside, row number 4 next to Timothy Holmes. Row number 5, A.J. Hyder and Daniel Naney representing Ball State University. Behind them at Triton College's Adam Garza and UConn's Jose Solis Jr.
Going a little bit deeper in the field, Maverick Davis and Mario Miranda closing out his College Series career this evening for the Oklahoma Sooners. Matthew Morton and Dylan Alt rolling off from 15th and 16th. Bradley Erickson and Abraham Vila starting 17th and 18th on this grid.
Yeah, Lane Graves, we saw him down there in the LCQs, able to make it through with Jackson Anderson on row number 10. Brandon Hudson, Zach Sprouse wake up row number 11 with Jalen Atkins and Jonathan Evans. That's through P24. That leaves only Blake Wynn, courtesy of the late wreck and the LCQ gets the final transfer position in. Your field of 25 is set, James, and your championship hopefuls are down from 3 to 2.
Let's break down the math. Connor Yarashak on the left, Daniel Falkingham on the right. These are the two that are mathematically eligible for the title. It is a 27-point gap entering this race. The maximum amount of points you can gain is 28. So that means that if Connor Yarashak finishes 24th or better, he will clinch the title no matter what Daniel Falkingham does. If they tied on points, the tiebreaker would go to most tournament wins, which Yarashak would have with 3. Here's our Logitech G race analysis for the finale of the Sunset Splash.
And first time these numbers change all night long. Going to go more than double the distance of what we saw earlier in the semifinals of the LCQ. It is a 45-lap feature, still on the same fixed setups, but that gets you to a healthy 67-mile distance, basically what would be a full fuel run in kind of a normal race. They do have 2 additional sets of tires available. That may come into play if the caution flags mix up the pit strategy a little bit. And oh yeah, there is more than just the headline of $10,000 to the champion. There is still a tournament win on the line, $3,000 to the winner, $7,000 across the top 6 finishers for this race alone.
Plenty of money that's going to go out here, too. You've got the tournament money as well, and then you've got the season-long money just the same. So plenty of drivers with many good reasons to go after it here in South Florida. We're set to give away a lot of scholarship money. We're set to crown a champion, and we are set to find out who is going to win the Sunset Splash. 45 laps on tap to close out the College Series season, and we are underway with the finale from Homestead Miami-Speedway. Big drive in the corner. There goes Matthews. Whacks sideways in front of everybody, and he just manages to hang on to it, but they continue to wreck in front of him. Timmy Holmes goes around and sideways, and the caution flag is out before we even complete the first lap.
What a stellar save from Zawak, and there's the story there. Clampett and Yarashak both through cleanly. That's going to be the headline in this one. Timothy Holmes is the one that ends up damaged, but there was a moment where Clampett was on the bottom, Yarashak was on the top, and Zawak was at about a 30-degree angle sideways in between them. Somehow both of your championship drivers avoid the accident.
If only just. I think they will take the luck where they can get it, as Clampett and Yarashak managed to escape any damage in our first yellow. And Zwag, for the most part, actually ended up with a decently clean truck, too. Somehow, he was the first one that went sideways, but he certainly didn't get the worst of it, as we'll take a look at the replay and see what happened.
And you're going to see 5 wide, but that's behind it. It's just Zawak where it starts. Big save. I think he had a little bit of help, and then the eventual spin from Holmes. James, I don't know if he actually got hit or if he was just kind of drifting low to avoid it. This is going to be a really good perspective. There's the contact. Zawak gets sideways. Holmes is trying to avoid it, just turns left and just catches the nose of Davis. That's how he ends up going around.
He got clipped by Maverick Davis there, just trying to avoid it. That's a classic case of you've got 5 drivers trying to go for the same exact real estate, and inevitably their lines are going to cross. And when they do, someone's going sideways. In this case, it was Timmy Holmes. So Holmes, Maverick Davis, and Dylan Alt is down on pit road as well. So there's an interesting call there from Dylan Alt, who may be trying to play a little bit of strategy, maybe trying to short pit this a little bit in the event that we get a long green flag run. Worth noting where that comes from. He started in the 16th position. He's the only one that pitted that did not have damage from that incident. So file that away if you're keeping track of race strategy. A reminder that the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series qualifying campaign will close out the spring with the Sim Racing Expo 150 from the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. That's next Tuesday, April 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Evan and Kenneth Plato will be on the call for that one, along with Alan Cavana. Pre-race coming your way at 7:30. All of that you can find at enascar.com/live.
It's been a fun time of the year, James, to be a fan of eNASCAR with the new qualifying series for the Coca-Cola iRacing series going on concurrently with this spring semester of the eNASCAR College iRacing series. It has led for a lot of fun Tuesday and Wednesday nights over the course of the last few months.
And then this, the newly announced Exhibition Showdown. Another time attack, another opportunity to go racing from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where some of the best and brightest throughout this College Series campaign are going to have the opportunity to compete one more time in front of a live audience here at Sim Racing Expo Charlotte. They'll have the broadcast on for everybody in attendance, and that is going to be really entertaining to see the College Series on that kind of big platform on a big weekend for sim racing in this country. We've not had a convention, an event like what Sim Racing Expo Charlotte is going to bring to the United States and to North America as well. So I think a lot of people are going to have eyeballs on that race. And we're very intrigued to see how it pans out. We'll have a single file restart here coming to lap 5 of 45. John Forbes Jr. takes over the race lead, then Clampett, then Basin. Yarashak in 4th, needing only to finish 24th or better to lock up the College Series title. Green flag will come back out once more. We are back racing at Homestead Miami. Forbes and Clampett and Basin and Yarashak all get going. The question is, where will somebody duck out in line to try and make a battle for second? Answer first is Bradley Erickson from Arizona State.
Yeah, number 9 spot is where he goes down to the bottom, and Garza and Solis Jr. going to go way to the outside. So the Yukon and the Triton College machines way up top. Erickson gets clear and slices into the middle. Garza's got the better run, though. He'll cross right back down below him. Same thing going on in front of them. Falkenham and Nanny doing that in a battle for the number 5 and 6 positions. Give it to Falkenham with a quick pass on the inside.
Daniel Falkingham coming into the 5th position as it stands. Yarashak, the championship leader, just ahead in 4th. Forbes not really able to get away from Clampett. Basin been able to tuck it behind. The gap actually is to Yarashak as we get a good look at Bradley Erickson just on the edge of the top 10.
Looking to the inside there was maybe a thought of an attempt of a pass there as Erickson looked like he was thinking about it. Now he'll go down to the inside as Solis kind of washed up on the exit of the corner. So Erickson going to go to the bottom in a battle for 7th and 8th position. The single file restarts really spread things out. This is already more than a second off of the leader. Going to make it trickier for some of the drivers starting to back in traffic to work their way through. They'll try to chase down the battle up front. John Forbes Jr. has led all 6 laps thus far in this race after he started on the outside of row number 1. Of course, that's all because Matthew Zawak, your pole sitter, had that huge scare that has him riddled back in the midfield right now, scored in 14th.
You see the leaders a little bit further back. We have Bedlam, and I don't necessarily mean that in the literal sense. I mean that in the rivalry sense, because Mario Miranda and Jackson Anderson are nose to tail. That's Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. If you're familiar with either one of those two universities, you know what Bedlam means. And those two, I think, very proud to represent their schools here on the racetrack in a good fight, just on the edge of the top 10. Meanwhile, your leaders starting to eke away car length by car length by car length. Yarashak sort of pacing that second group of the front 3, beginning to stretch this out.
You can see these drivers starting to try to spread out, find a little bit of real estate, but not everybody's brave as that man there, Morton, way to the outside. It's going to put us in a 3 wide battle for a moment. Morton trying to slice in front of Miranda, but Miranda keeps the nose at the bottom. He just can't get there. Garza blocking the top. Miranda was on the bottom. He was forced to just stay in line, and it's going to put him 3 wide. Miranda not going to get the run he needs off of the bottom. He'll tuck in line. Jackson Anderson thought about a crossover, but reconsiders. Tucks back in line. Again, this is a longer race by a significant margin than what we've seen so far tonight, but it is not a long race in and of itself. But I think you can see these drivers being a little bit more disciplined on if it's worth making some of the moves. We've still seen the 2 and 3 wide, but we may have been able to see twice as much. But you see guys looking and pulling back in line. They weren't doing that in the LCQ.
45 laps is a long time here at Homestead Miami-Speedway, especially in these trucks of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. You have to manage tire wear. You have to manage gaps. You have to manage where people are trying to make runs at you. You have to manage slide job attempts. You've got about 5 or 6 different variables that you are keeping track of at any given moment while you are behind the wheel of one of these cars. And that is a lot on anyone's shoulders or head, much less their driving abilities. He's done this new bigging there just in front of Matthew Zwack, who's trying to rally through the field.
Look at the drive up on the bottom for Jackson Anderson in the Oklahoma State machine out on the door of rival Miranda, but then had to get out of the gas because that thing was going to start plowing up the hill. And again, it's just too early to be driving through somebody's door like that. So even amongst rivals, a little bit of discipline. He thought better of it, and behind him, Newbigin and Hyder doing battle. In front of them, Daniel Falkenham is just on the outside of the top 5 right now as the previous race winner. In front of him is Connor Urashak, right now P4, doing more than enough to secure and lock up this championship. But a little bit of history on the line tonight as well for Urashak. If he could get another tournament win, it would be his 4th on the season. And I know it was a different format, but we've only seen a 4-time race winner once ever in a single season of this college series. And that was Stephen Wilson back in the fall of 2022. So I know Urashak, the objective is 24th and higher. That's what the math says. The driver says, I bet he's going to be in there and competing.
You have to believe that if he's in the position to make the move, he's going to go for it. As Dylan Basin clears John Forbes Jr. to take control of this. Though, also worth noting that that 24th position number is contingent first upon Daniel Falkenham winning this race. If Falkenham does not win this race, then it doesn't matter what Connor Urashak does. Urashak will be the champion no matter what, too. So Falkingham's first job is to get around Urashak and get to the race lead and force Urashak's in some way, shape, or form. As it stands, he's still behind Urashak on the racetrack, so Urashak's got all the cards and all the house money to play with.
Every time we look at this group right here, they are just absolutely at war and a battle for 7th on back. And Nanny is the one center of the 3 wide right now with nowhere to go. Garza leaning on that quarter panel down on the inside. Nanny's not giving him an inch of extra space.
How on earth has Adam Garza got any air flowing over that nose with as hard as Daniel Nanny pinched him there on the exit of turn 2? Garza's going to get back in line. Erickson's going to get that great run on the tie line, but Morton's there in front of him, and he doesn't have anywhere to take the run, which allows Nanny to draw even with Morton on the bottom.
Just because they're making some smart decisions doesn't mean they aren't aggressive. And look at that one. Erickson high to low with a big move. Trying to get under Nanny in the battle for 8th and 9th spot. Does he get there? Slides up in front. Again, Nanny could have let that one go. Instead, he wants the battle. And look at Garza now. Cuts across 3 lanes down to the inside. And a mirrored image of what Erickson did about a half a lap ago.
Adam Garza dropping the elevator and the hammer to go all the way to the inside and try and pick up some track position. But again, that outside line gets such a good run out of the corner that Nanny is able to get the spot back before they get to turn 1, and Erickson is able to get to Adam Garza's door.
And again, leaning on him. We saw a lot of door-to-door contact in those first 2 semifinal races on the afternoon. And Garza aggressively has to get up in front of Hyder. Again, they are kind of testing the waters. They're being aggressive. And behind them, Matthew Zawak now entering the conversation. That's 4 wide for a moment. Newbegin's nose was below, but he'll tuck in line, and Hyder cleared Anderson up top. But Zawak dropped back to the number 14 spot. Hasn't made up ground since. So what can that driver do? Is his truck damaged at all, or is he working at 100%? Is Logan to clamp it? At a battle with Forbes, is Forbes now dropping down to 3rd. Base into the lead. Clamp it now to P2.
Bason's been able to control this for the last few laps. I just had this feeling, though, Evan, that I think the top 5 at least have more to give. They're waiting for their moment to attack. Unlike this group that you see on your screen here, where they've been fighting tooth and nail since we dropped the green flag after that first yellow.
Yeah, and of course we mentioned the 2 additional sets of tires available. The majority of the field did not come down and pit on the opening yellow. We did see one driver do it not for repairs, but in overall it was Alt, Holmes, and Davis onto the pit lane. At any point from now on, as we close into the halfway point, if you do get a yellow, you are going to see that pit stop execution. So for these drivers, you treat this like a normal full-length race, right? This is one fuel run to where you have to manage the truck expecting to go far, but be mentally prepared that if you do get a yellow, you got to execute, come down to the pit lane, and then it's going to be a short run. So this is probably the most normal these drivers have felt all tournament, just given the longer race distance.
Yarashak, Falkingham, John Forbes Jr. Again, Falkingham has got to get to the front of this field to prevent Yarashak from not really having to worry about his finishing position to lock up the title. Falkingham has to make this pass and then 2 more. And so the question here is, how aggressive are you going to be if you're the University of Miami-Machias driver, Thunder Dan, thinking, plotting his course and trying to figure out how to make this happen some way or another.
And despite the single file restart, which stretched everybody out, yeah, the field still has single file. We've not seen sustained 2 or 3 wide. It's kind of moments in time where somebody will make a move and then they'll tuck back and line off of the corner. But the field isn't much more spread out now than they were the lap after the restart. I mean, obviously it's a high-speed track. You talk about the momentum of these trucks being a little bit draft dependent and running in line. Nobody's really able to get away. We haven't seen a leader be able to pull a couple of car lengths yet tonight. We haven't seen like a gap split the lead pack into 2 yet tonight. So even way back here in the battle for the number 15 spot, it's 2.5 seconds off of the lead, but they're all connected to the leaders in front of them as you watch Anderson and Sprouse go at it.
Fabulous battle here for the 15th spot, where Jackson Anderson, Zach Sprouse, Jonathan Evans, Abraham Vila, 3 wide here. This is one of the best fights on the racetrack so far. Vila with that great run again, that high line giving you so much momentum on corner exit. It allows Vila to draw to Jackson Anderson's rear bumper.
Officially past the halfway point now in this final feature race of the year. 12 laps led early for John Forbes. Dylan Basin led 9, and now Logan Clampett. Give him credit. He's doing his part because that Connor Yarashak P24 number is all operating on the assumption that Logan Clampett has to win the race, right? If he finishes second even, then a last place finish would end up in basically a mathematical tie. So for Logan Clampett, he's doing his part, James, but it goes back to the thing I said right at the very beginning. As a driver, you do not want to have to rely on somebody else's results. Clampett's doing his part, but again, with Yarashak at P3, it's futile at the moment.
For as much as Connor Yarashak and Logan Clampett have been rivals on the track in the college series all season long, right now, Clampett is Yarashak's best friend because every lap he leads, every spot he's got ahead of Falkingham is a position that Daniel Falkingham does not have on the racetrack, and it just makes Yarashak's job that much easier to win the college series title. A little bit further back, good look here, Matthew Morton, Jose Solis Jr., Bradley Erickson, 6th and 7th and 8th on the racetrack in their own little pack.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention, and I failed to bring it up at first, James, but we talk about Falkingham being mathematically eliminated, or Clampett to be mathematically eliminated, but Falkingham, of course, trying to go out there and win this race. That battle for B2 in the points is also massively critical, right? Yes, the story is Yarashak. He's the guy that's going for the $10,000, but there's still $5,000 on the line for second and $3,000 on the line for third. For me, I'm not forgetting and rolling over about a $2,000 difference. So even though Yarashak is making both of their attempts futile to this point, that's $2,000 on the line between Clampett and Falkingham if it does come down to a battle between them for second and third.
And that will be a great subplot in all of this because it's going to be a very tight gap between those two at the top end of the pylon. If we go green here for the final 20 laps of this race, Matthew Swack now trying to go up the high line and rebound from the chaos that ensued on lap 1 of this race where he was sideways and just about in front of the entire field. Zwack continues to work his way up the field as in 14th now as it stands.
Zwack just hasn't been able to pick up spots, right? I mean, he got lucky, I think, with the spin. It certainly could have been a lot worse, and I don't know if it's damage on the truck or if it's running back in traffic, but he's just stuck in this battle with Hyder, with Vila. We've seen them going at it for the last 10 to 15 laps, but none of these trucks can get away from one another. They're just kind of stuck in this group, and that's 3 drivers who started in the top 10, right? Newbigging started in the number 4 position in this race. He's down in 15th, just can't dig out of that hole. And a little bit of the same in the battle for the number 9 spot. A lot of drivers who picked up spots are ahead of them, right? Morton has had a great night. Solis has picked up a bunch. Ericsson has as well. They get back to that midfield. The gaps, if you're gaining positions, it's more like 2 or 3 spots up instead of 7 or 8.
Looking at the top between Nanny and Miranda and Garza. Bottom is Vila, Zwack, and then conveniently, Nanny and Miranda just ahead of this battle. So 2 cameras on roughly the same fight, but a few different perspectives here, brought to you by our fabulous team at iRacing, as we'll go back to the one shot and focus on Ball State's Daniel Nanny.
He's got Miranda in there. You saw the win for Miranda, how excited he was to take home the heat race win just a week ago. Trying to end this season on a high note for the Oklahoma Sooner on the bottom. He and Nanny in this battle for position. Miranda's not going to be able to clear him. Bit of a door check that time through as Nanny's kind of playing defense here on the outside lane. Miranda knows he's going to make a move. There it is. Huge slide into the center of the corner. He pulls up and clear. Does Nanny have what he needs to cross him over? I don't know if he does. He'll go to the bottom, but he got awfully loose off the turn, and he'll be just now even with him into 3.
And contact between the 2 of them in the center of the corner, and Nanny's going to get loose underneath Miranda, try and hang on and save it, and just does, and then gets into Matthew Zwack and gets into Abraham Vila, and will finally tuck in behind Zwack, but not before he loses 2 spots on the track.
Yeah, Miranda not happy with all of the door checking that was going on. I mean, Nanny initiated contact a couple of times there, and again, Miranda made the slide job clean, got up through it in front, but he did get into the door and Nanny about a lap prior to that, and he kind of repaid the favor by just tapping him in the left rear there, and it was not appreciated on behalf of Mario Miranda. We've been checking in with the watch parties all night long for the UNCC group and the Belmont Abbey watch party. Well, the Belmont crew cheering on their driver, running in that number 12 position, and mixing it up with some of the bigger colleges in this, with the Oklahoma and the Michigan entries to Miranda and Zwack.
Blake Wynn representing the Niners in 24th. Jalen Atkins representing the Crusaders in 21st. Lots of fun to see those watch parties over the course of the campaign, and we look forward to seeing more of them in the next season, as both the Charlotte schools represented pretty well here in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
Not done yet, by the way. Into the wall that time goes Nanny and Vila. Trouble, he's around. And there it is. The caution flag, James, that's going to change this race.
Just about flips it entirely on its head. And what kind of decisions do these drivers have? And in particular, what kind of decision does Dylan Alt have, given that he was the one that came down pit road early? Do you stay out and try and risk it with old tires, or do you accept you just lost the track position and come in for 4 fresh tires when you know a lot of this field is going to try and pit for some Goodyear Eagles?
You got to think you're going to see something from all the categories, right? A stay out, a 2-tire, a 4-tire. We'll see how it gets mixed up. Newbegin apologizing over the radio to Vila. He just said he didn't know they were 3 wide, and when we get a second look at it, I think that's going to check, because again, Newbegin just kind of came up on him like he was expecting Vila to get all the way to the outside wall, but of course, Daniel Nanny was there in the position. They were not 3 wide until the very last moment. When Nanny got into the wall, that's where I thought the trouble was going to come from, but it is the Swiss cheese model of how a wreck forms. It starts with 1 hole and then 2 and 3, and all those different factors line up in a row, and you end up with a caution. So here we go. Pit lane open this time through. Logan Clampett is the leader, already mathematically eliminated from the championship. What does he do, and what does Yurashak, the championship leader, do? they both head to pit road.
Everybody coming in to stop, nobody taking chances whatsoever. Is there anyone who decides to be a brave soul and stay out to get the track position? No, everybody comes down for service. So here are the pit stops that will make the difference. Here's a look at what happened to Abraham Vila, who's been on both sides of the coin tonight. He gets into Jake Ennis and takes Ennis out of contention for this final. And then Newbigin gets into Vila and spins Vila, and for all intents and purposes ends Vila's chances of having a good run in this final race.
And it's just, eventually when you have those diverging moments where you're single file, you're 2 wide, then you're 3 wide, you're going to end up with a situation like that. And Logan DeClampet's going to be the first truck off of the pit lane. And it seemed a little bit more universal than maybe I was hoping for. It's going to be 4 tires for Clampett and Falkenham off number 2. Forbes, the DeBasin, Yurishak will drop some spots after he had the slowest in pit stall time at a 15.4. That was nearly a full second slower than what Daniel Falkenham spent in the box, despite the fact that they both took 4.
There's your story coming off of pit road, is that Yurishak was in the top 3 when they came in. He exits pit road 5th, and so now he has work to do. And Clampett and Falkenham, incidentally, will be 1st and 2nd for this restart, which is going to get a little bit crazy. We're going to be inside of 10 laps to go when we take the green again, and everybody is going to have fresh tires.
Yeah, Dylan Alt, I'm looking through, is probably the only driver on 2. He only spent 9.7 in the box, and we did confirm that. So Dylan Alt's going to get a big pickup courtesy of the 5 seconds that he saved by not putting on the 2 additional tires. So it's going to be a big up for Dylan Alt. He was 23rd. He'll restart into number 6 position, but again at a tire disadvantage. He's the only one who dared stray. Everybody else 4 and fuel and ready to go, coming to 9 laps left.
Lights are off on the pace car. Clampett and Falkenham racing for scholarship money and potentially a title. In Falkingham's case, Yurishak in 5th, racing for a college series championship just the same. As we will have all kinds of action all around Homestead Miami for the final 9 laps of this race, of this Sunset Splash tournament, and of this 2025-26 eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by Play vs. College League season. Here we go. Pace car peels off. Green flag is out. Falkingham spun the tires. They all fan out to his outside, and Falkingham's going to hit the center chute and go straight backwards into this field as Connor Yurishak now climbs up into the 3rd position.
4 wide, you can see with the Triton and Yukon trucks in the center of it all. Yurishak a little bit loose towards the front. He gets hit a couple of times in the bumper, but it keeps it pointed the right direction as it was Falkenham, the driver of the bumper, that most recent time. Clampett leading, Forbes in 2nd, Yurishak and Basin side by side for 3rd. Yurishak wants to make it for 2nd, down to the inside on John Forbes.
Connor Yurishak trying to win 4 tournaments to set the bar here that everybody else is going to look towards in future seasons. Look at the inside of John Forbes Jr. and Dylan Basin. They are 3 wide just behind is Morton and Nanny and Bradley Erickson fighting for track position, and all of this happening behind Logan Clampett as he scoots away by 0.3 of a second.
He's enjoying the chaos from the 2 wide restart. A bit of a twitch there for the Ball State entry. Manny, as he got a bit of a touch on the quarter panel, and now Solis in the outside wall off the corner is going to make them scatter low. 3 wide, a couple of rows deep. Further up front, 3 wide again. It's for 2nd. Erickson under Basin, who's going to put a big slide job in the Pasco Hernando Ram to get up in front of Forbes off the corner. Trucks, Homestead, it is the gift that keeps on giving. Going at it for 2nd. Forbes gets sideways but reels it back in.
And Yurishak got the fence to avoid it. As a result, that gives Falkingham the opportunity to get to the inside and maybe make a pass on Yurishak here, at least for track position. Falkingham will tuck in line. Clampett is gone. 0.6 of a second. He is checked out here. Bason's starting to finally create some separation from the rest of the pack. He'll be the first to give chase. Erickson and Forbes fighting for track position and banging doors off of turn 2.
And as Connor Yurchak rides in the number 5 spot, James, we have a DNF in the race. Douglas Newbigging, his night is done. He's more laps down than laps that are left, which means that it'll be mathematically secured for Connor Yurchak to take home the big trophy.
We'll see how Yurchak finishes off this race with that title just about in hand. As Logan Clampett still holding steady at about 0.6 of a second. Great battle here between Adam Garza and Daniel Nanny. This for the 8th spot, but well behind your race leaders in the top 5.
Plenty left to fight for. Prize money on the line for the top finishers in this tournament alone. Those payouts go to the drivers in the top 6. Talk about the ongoing battle between Clampett and Falkingham. It's a $2,000 difference. The top 3 get paid out. And the overall driver standings, a lot still to fight for with not a lot of time to go. 4 laps left. And you can see the Belmont watch parties breaking out the pizza as we're in the home stretch.
Pizza party for a big season of growth for everybody at Belmont Abbey. So many drivers in the final 2 tournaments in particular making their presence known for the Crusaders as we look at the Western Connecticut Wolf of Jonathan Evans riding in the 9th position. But all eyes here on Connor Yurchak, currently running in the top 5 ahead of Daniel Falkingham, chasing down history with 3 laps to go.
And is this race going to end with only that one late race restart, at which Logan Clampett was able to pull out the biggest advantage we've seen out of anybody so far tonight? Or is there another twist left? A lot of single file, couple bits of side-by-side here and there. Morton and Falkingham inside of the top 10. Evans and Nanny, tail end of the top 10. Anderson and Miranda behind them. There's battles throughout, but nothing up for grabs at the moment inside of your top 4.
Everybody watching these great battles towards the back of the field. 2 laps to go here. Dylan Basin trying to give chase as Timmy Holmes tries to gain a few more spots, but just nowhere to go there for Lane Graves.
And you just got to get to the white flag, and this race is official. Basin is chipped into the advantage by Clampett just a bit, but I just don't see it being enough to make a difference. And at 1 to go, Clampett, Basin, and Forbes, your top 3.
Logan Clampett has had a stellar career in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. He is a former champion of this series. He's a former runner-up of this series. He may well add another runner-up finish in the overall point standings tonight on top of a tournament win for the first time this season. Logan Clampett will come out of turn 4 and claim the Sunset Splash for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, but it's the driver in 5th who ultimately holds off the Stampede and brings the trophy to the Great White North. Connor Yurchak is the first ever Canadian champion of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
He was the favorite coming in. He was the man on a mission all season long. 3 race wins over the course of the 6 tournaments. And what a step up after being a one-time race winner. I don't know what the difference was, but something clicked this year as we continue to watch Connor Yurchak's development at the top level of eNASCAR competition, and some love for Logan Clampett as well. This tournament win, James, means he's the only driver ever in the College Series to get a race win in 4 different seasons.
And our winning moment brought to you this evening by Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by Play vs. College League. As Logan Clampett celebrates here, it's his first tournament win, but he's got a fair amount of victories in individual races from seasons past that he can add to his register. 3 in season 3, 1 in season 4, and 2 in season 5. So 7th tournament or race win, but Connor Yurchak, 3 tournament wins, Rookie of the Year last year in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, and now a champion of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series to boot.
It's a dual celebration for these two, and again, we talk about all those accolades. You called them out for Connor Yurchak. I think this is just the starting point for one of the young up-and-coming drivers in top-level pro sim racing here in North America. And I think a lot is still to come as he will continue his career in the Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. But what a showing he had all season long. Best truck ends up locking it down in the end.
Clamp it, your winner. Basin bookends the year with a second-place run after winning the Queen City Crown to start this campaign. John Forbes Jr. with a podium run, his best finish this season. Bradley Erickson fourth. Yarashak comes home fifth to clinch the title. Then Morton, Falkingham, Nanny Garza, Jonathan Evans finishing up the season all in the top 10.
Yeah, Mario Miranda, Jackson Anderson, the Oklahoma entries, a couple of rivals, 11th and 12th position in this one. Maverick Davis in the number 13 spot. We talked about the UNC Charlotte group. Watch it on. Brandon Hudson leads the way with them at the number 14 spot ahead of Zach Sprouse. AJ Hyder, Timothy Holmes, teammate to Hudson, Blake Wynn, Jalen Atkins, and Lane Graves, your top 20.
Final 5 drivers: Matthew Swack, Jose Sildes Jr., Abraham Vila, Dylan Alt, and Douglas Newbegin round out your 25-car field for this, the finale of the Sunset Splash, the 6th and final tournament of the 2025-26 eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by Play vs. College League campaign. We are all wrapped and done with the racing action. We have podium finishers, we have our high finishers in the points, and we have drivers that we need to talk to. Evan Pasoko.
Let's start with the former champ and a race winner here tonight in the Sunset Splash. Logan DeClampett comes out on top at Homestead Miami. Logan, congratulations. I know that it was a mathematical long shot coming into tonight, but you guys come in and take care of business. You get another race win. You're the first driver ever in the College Series to get a win in 4 different seasons. How's that sound?
Sounds great, man. That was the goal tonight, coming into Homestead. You know, I love this track so much. So, it was so awesome to finally get a win in this season. It's been just kind of just very close or just unlucky, just almost every single race. You know, I wish I was closer to Connor entering this race. That would have been a lot of fun. I think Daytona really ruined that because I was winning on the last lap and he was 9th, and then eventually I got wrecked and he won the race, which got him a really big boost, and then I got wrecked at Martinsville. But coming into tonight, I just, you know, I was all eyes on second place, try and get the win. I was expecting to just try and win as much as possible here, because it's like, you know, Falkingham's pretty fast and I didn't really want to rely on just regular points. I wanted the 5 extra bonus points. So that was, feels great.
You know, you've won 2 championships in this series. We've seen Stephen Wilson win them. You know, when you look back on those seasons and then compare them to this year, you know, going up against one of the younger guys in Yarashak and Falkingham, a new name in the mix as well. What are going to be some of your takeaways from participating in this 25-26 campaign?
You know, Connor's really fast. He's one of the up-and-comers for sure. You know, him and Sebastian are my teammates, and they're just incredibly fast. You know, I probably get on the simulator. I mean, I get on it twice a month to do this, and that's about it. So I'm happy to see that I still had it tonight. So that's pretty cool, because I don't race anymore. I can't really keep up with whatever they're updating. I don't even know. So it's cool to see Connor get the championship. I know he had a big lag out last year, and he couldn't fight for, I mean, really any money, and he's really fast. So it's cool to see him get that. It's kind of like passing the torch along. And, you know, to enter here in my final eNASCAR College Series race, and really probably my last eNASCAR race, maybe show up for one race here and there in the qualifying series. But to be able to win and just go out a winner, I can't ask for anything else besides a championship, but that's okay, you know? So it is just, I just feel fantastic.
It's a good way to end, if it is the end. $5,000 as well in scholarship dollars, courtesy of the race win here tonight, plus the second spot overall in the driver championship. Logan, congratulations. Let's move things over to the champ who locks it up with another top 5 finish tonight. Connor Yurashak is your 2025-26 eNASCAR College iRacing Series champion. Connor, you were the favorite. You were the guy they were chasing, not just coming into tonight, but all season long. And it was a lot of the same faces up there in the battle for you. In the end, tonight is enough to get your first eNASCAR title. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Obviously, I'm really, really, really happy about the title and the way that, I built up a really nice cushion that a not so great run like tonight allowed me to have. But I mean, this was definitely the most frustrating race of my year. We had that nice green flag run and I got the second, and I had a little bit better tires than Clampett, so it would have been nice to have us race it out there on the green flag run. But I don't know what happened on pit road, if I got bad RNG or I don't know what happened, but I just lost 4 spots and my chance at the win was pretty much over.
Just want to take a minute to acknowledge the fact that you finished 5th, and that for you is kind of a subpar result. I would also be remiss to not bring up the fact, a question from a guy from Cambridge, Ontario, to a guy from Calgary, Alberta, the first Canadian champion of this eNASCAR College iRacing Series, to get the University of Calgary Dinos representation, and not just your school as well, but a lot of other colleges and universities from across Canada as well. What does it mean for you to see, those Canadian schools and kind of be the flag bearer in what is an American-dominated sport and e-sport, to be able to mix it up when you get everybody together on track together?
Yeah, it makes me incredibly proud. Obviously, I'm second year of uni, so I got a lot of time left to hopefully retain my championship year over year. But I mean, to represent Canada and to represent all these schools, I'm hoping that there might be people in the stream that see it is possible for a Canadian to run at the front and try it out themselves. That's really what it's all about. So, I mean, I'm definitely happy that I was able to get it done. But now switching to the Coke series, I've got a different set of goals. So, I mean, I'm ready to go.
It's a big milestone, but me and James were talking, I think in a couple of years, we'll look back on how this was simply a stepping stone on your continued journey in the world of eNASCAR. Connor, again, congratulations on the championship.
Yeah, thanks, guys. You have a good night.
He is the champ in 2025-26. Connor Yurashak, your eNASCAR College iRacing Series champion. James?
Here's a look at your final standings. Connor Yurashak wins the title for the University of Calgary, for the Dinos, and for all of Canada, in a sense. And will walk away with $10,000, $5,000 in scholarship money going to Logan Clampett, representing the Cal State Fullerton Titans. And then Daniel Falkingham brings home $3,000 to his cause for the University of Maine at Machias. All of your top 6 finishers in tonight's race also going away with individual tournament prize winnings as well. But Connor Yurashak, at the end of it all, stands on top of this field and of this group. And I have to believe, and I think you sort of hit it at a little bit, Evan, that as the history and as this series progresses, this is going to become a stepping stone, a proving ground, and a place for talent to emerge that then can potentially go on and be competitive in the Coke Series. We've seen it with Steven Wilson. We know that Logan Clampett is pretty darn fast in these cars. He's a Coke Series winner as well. And Connor Yurashak, I think, definitely part of that too.
Yeah, 100% agree. Back in the day, the Ignite Series was maybe where some of that new talent would come up. And when you get into the drivers at a college and university level, this is that feeder series. Some drivers are already there doing it with the Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying and championship series concurrently. But this is where I think the stars of tomorrow will be born. And one season comes to a close. The good news, James, is we do not have to wait until September 15th of 2026. Not that I'm counting, but that's when Time Attack opens for next season. But we've got, of course, that College Sim Racing Expo Showdown coming at you on Sunday, May the 24th.
Going to be so much fun to see everything go down in Uptown Charlotte. Meanwhile, we still have action coming your way from the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series qualifying campaign. The Sim Racing Expo Charlotte 150 coming your way next Tuesday night, April 28th, 7:30 pre-race, 8 p.m. Eastern. Race on eNASCAR.com/live. Evan, you are going to have a lot of fun bringing home that series and getting us prepped to find out which 30 drivers will transfer into free agency and have a shot at making the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series.
Yeah, and that series has also progressed, right? The story is no longer just the cut line. Because we send 50 drivers to free agency, superlatives matter, right? Winning matters. Finishing fourth instead of fifth, winning the championship instead of finishing second, those things matter to these drivers as they try to market themselves to the big teams to hope that they get selected to be on a championship series roster. Quinton Morvan, Sebastian Barron, those are the names we're looking at as we head into Texas to crown a champ and then turn the book forward to the championship series, which is coming at us in just 1 month.
Just like real life, it's not just enough to be fast. You have to prove that you are worthy of selection for one of the 40 positions in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. A tremendous thank you to all of our staff, of our crew, of all the representatives at eNASCAR and the Play vs. College League and Logitech G for their support across this entire season, for our director Drew Adamson and our entire production team across the world at iRacing, for my colleague in the booth Evan Pashoko, I am James Pike. Congratulations to our Sunset Splash winner Logan Clampett, to our series champion Connor Yarashak, and thank you to all of you for watching coverage of the 2025-26 eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by Play vs. College League, courtesy of iRacing. We look forward to seeing you next week for more action from the Coke Series qualifying series. And for those interested in College Series action, we look forward to seeing you at Sim Racing Expo for the special exhibition Sim Racing Showdown. Thank you all so much for watching, and good night from Homestead, Miami.